Hey everyone, Monica Bodierski here, artist and author of the Shadowland Tarot and the House of Shadows Lenormand, now in its 5th edition, and soon to be up on my website, the most amazing reading cloth. She flicks the reading cloth. Created by Golden Ginger Studio, none other than Leanne Shea Rem, a very talented textile artist. She worked with me on this design and came up with this gorgeous 19-inch square heavy-duty cotton reading cloth that works not only for Lenormand but for tarot and for my bone and curio casting. So stay tuned, check out the newsletter that I'm about to send out, and order one if you like them. Okay, so this week, well, we're coming up to solstice, and yes, already I'm having a hard time with the way time has been flying along, yet dragging at times due to the pandemic. It's been quite challenging for many of us. So what I thought I'd do is offer a triple threat reading to see a little bit ahead for 2021, because goodness knows we're probably just about done here for 2020. So even though we still have some time, I thought putting this out on solstice, the shortest day of the year, the last day of the dark half of the year, and looking ahead to the light half of the year where things are increasing light slowly. After the 21st, each day gets a little bit longer with daylight for where we are in the northern hemisphere, and often that kind of feeling of expansion with light and growth leading into spring and summer is a really good place to put our energy and thoughts for planning and seeing what's ahead to help us plan is what I'm thinking of here with my triple threat, which is Lenormand, Shadowland Tarot, and my bone and curio casting. So, because I'm not doing overhead shots here, I'm going to tell you what I just pulled before I started this video when I asked, and I needed a quiet space and a little bit of ritual here. I do connect with my ancestors for matters that I consider fairly weighty, which would pretty much be every time I ask questions when it comes to divination. This is my source for wisdom, very particular ancestors in my practice. So here's what they shared with me, and I would like to share this with you for the upcoming year. So first we have the Lenormand cards, of which I'm using my 5th edition, and I've pulled 3 cards. And these 3 cards are telling me in sequence, rather than going through just every single card and then reading them together. I will tell you, they are the Tower and the Rider and the Tree. And those cards are telling me that for the upcoming year, we need to have a place of perspective, maybe an overview. There seems to be good news coming. Thanks to the Rider. Oh, always welcome. Who doesn't want good news? And it's about our well-being. And I'm going to take that very much as even the Ivory Tower or people in positions of authority having this overview as well about our well-being and health. I'm going to say that's probably about vaccinations, and even though things may get a little scarier before they start to ease up, because this isn't going to be a quick recovery, that I know, as much as we'd all love to have it just go away, even with vaccinations, things are going to take time. But the Lenormand deck is saying, you know what, it's good news about our overall well-being. So that is great. So it looks like we are definitely on the road to recovery, even if it takes the full year. The next thing I pulled were 4 objects that jumped out. Now, when I do my bone and curio readings, I throw a whole mess of things. For those of you who attended my class, you will know that. I have a huge bowl of items. There's probably about 35 to 40 at a time that I'm throwing. And then I'll look at the hot spots and do readings very similar to Lenormand through proximity and key indicators of what each thing is for health and well-being. So what jumped out at me, because I do have an item that is generally a clarity or a circled item that stands out to summarize the reading. Again, much like the bottom 4 cards in Lenormand for me, these are 4 objects that really brought the whole reading together about the upcoming year. And the first thing was, of course, this bone. It's bone and curio casting. This bone is about structure. And I have this little car necklace charm. It's not actually a charm. It was a piece from a mixed media necklace that I made ages ago, and it's a little car. Now, when I cast this, it was on its side. And then I have this shell, which is symbolic of home. Okay, and of course, this little button that I picked up on a beach in Salem years ago. It's a beautiful worn button, and that's about connections. So what I picked up from that was, and I understand that we all read objects differently, but my take on this was very much, since this vehicle was on its side, it was about, since we cannot leave our homes quite yet as much as we'd like to, so consider that travel will still be slow throughout the next year. For any myriad of reasons, the pandemic still being in certain countries, certain airlines may not have survived this economic crisis. For whatever reason, travel will still be slow and quite hindered, it is looking like. And the home is still central to our lives. And so perhaps if we bring some structure, more structure into our world, which I think we've all had practice with now, for so much time inside without external structure to break things up. We've had to become organized that way, but to make connections as well. So continue basically what we've been doing. It's giving me the impression that things are going to continue along this line. So rather than just say, great, the vaccine's here and we're hitting the road, it looks like no, there will be a delay, but bit by bit, things are coming back, and with the car on its side as opposed to on its back, it says there is some travel. It's just slow and not where we'd like it to be. And we could pretty much figure things aren't going to just sort of go back to normal again. And the last 3 cards for the upcoming year that I pulled were from the Shadowland Tarot, and they were in sequence: the Hanged Man, card number 12, the Queen of Wands, and the 5 of Cups. Okay, let me just hold up those 3 cards again. So what I took from this for a message for the upcoming year was perspective, a willingness, though, because I often see the Hanged Man as self-sacrifice, in the sense that you understand that we need to make certain sacrifices to bring other things into our world. We aren't being forced. It is kind of a willingness just to change our perspective, look at things differently, take that time out and say, you know what, that's okay, because now I realize all the things I don't need. I actually don't need to go from point A, B, and C, and D constantly. Sometimes we run around a lot more than necessary. So the first card is saying, take a look, assess the situation. Maybe even if we were completely free to go back to how we were living, that's not necessary. Maybe we found a healthier alternative, I'm going to say. The Queen of Wands says that there is strength in this queen. There is a fire and a passion, particularly as we come into the spring and summer months. There is a renewed strength and sense of optimism. There is one caveat or cautionary note, which is this 5 of Cups dealing with emotion, saying, you know what, because there's this renewed fire that might bring some kind of anxiousness to, okay, now that things are back, I'm going to. A lot of folks are saying the first thing I'm going to do when I get my vaccine is go here and go. That may not be possible. So don't go Five of Cups and start to get really pessimistic and emotionally down about the things that haven't worked or maybe have failed or that you can't get to yet. The creature from the Black Lagoon here, if you don't know, is looking at the pollution here and very, very upset, and rightfully so. However, the cautionary portion is you don't want to put out the fire and the passion of the Queen of Wands with too much water here because you're looking at the negative things. Remember, this is about perspective, this Hanged Man. So we kind of have to really tell our brains, it's okay, it's okay. We've talked about neuroplasticity before and rewiring our brains so that they don't slide into that anxiety and depression slot. And again, I am not talking about people who need professional assistance. I'm just talking about those of us who are truly COVID fatigued and really anxious to get back to our lives and find this very stressful. So stay positive, everyone. It looks like there is good news coming, kind of limited travel and mobility still, but you know what? That Queen of Wands to me was the real point of this final 3 cards of saying, you can stay strong, stand strong, keep that passion and that fire going internally, even if you can't externally or you are restricted still, and we will be. So just stay in that flame, okay? So listen, everyone, have a beautiful solstice and returning light. I will be, sharing videos of all sorts of stuff. Yes, I have them lined up. Talk about structure. I have a schedule coming up. And I'm really excited about a new project I'm working on, another oracle divination set that should be totally wonderful to play with and explore with. That is neither Lenormand or tarot, just a little clue there. So remember to check out my website. Please if you like this video, subscribe so you know when they're coming out. My schedule may be changing as we come into the new year. Stay safe, stay happy, and don't forget again, I have classes coming up. If you miss Lenormand or Bone and Curio casting, just visit the site. Make sure my newsletter isn't going to your spam so you can stay up to date with all sorts of changes. And you'll see when that reading cloth is out. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Happy solstice to you all and returning light.